Did you know that there's something contained within President Biden's infrastructure bill that's going to require all new cars manufactured after a certain date to have an alcohol detection system in them? And if it detects alcohol, to shut that car down? Well, if you didn't, that's what we're talking about today. So stick around and we'll talk about that coming up. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you're having a great week. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. I've just been pulled in a million different directions, but I promise I am going to start getting these videos out more regularly because I have been asked, hey, when are you going to start doing Friday videos again? So here's the first one. And today we're talking about mandatory breathalyzers in cars. Now, some of you may have heard about this and some of you may not have, but contained within President Biden's infrastructure bill that was passed back in 2021, there is this section that talks about all vehicles manufactured after a certain date will be required to be equipped with an alcohol detection system. Now, most people, when they hear that, they think breathalyzers. They think the Intoxilocks, the deep lung devices that go in the car, and you blow into them to start the car, or every once in a while you have to blow in them to keep the car going. But those are active monitoring systems. And what this new rule specifically requires is that cars will require a passive impairment detection system. So what does that mean? Well, the short answer is we don't really know yet. The way that it works is these car manufacturers are given a set number of time, that being 3 years, to determine the logistics of exactly how this will work and how they're going to implement that technology into their automobiles. They are allowed to ask for an extension of that time if they're still figuring it out, but at some point in the near future, cars will be required to be installed or equipped with some type of system that can passively detect if a driver is impaired. And if that driver is impaired, to immobilize the vehicle or to at least mitigate the danger and get the vehicle safely off the road. Now, there are a couple car manufacturers that are already playing around with this technology. Nissan, General Motors are two that I know of. I'm sure there are others. I know Mercedes has these in some of their newer models where if they detect that a vehicle is swerving or if it's leaving the lane without signaling or if there's sporadic speed changes, warning devices and warning signals will go off in the car to try to alert the driver that, hey, maybe pull over and take a little break or go get a cup of coffee or maybe get somebody else to drive until it's safe for you to do so. However, the section in the infrastructure bill is more specific in that. In fact, the language says that whatever system they come up with not only has to passively detect impairment, but has to passively detect what the driver's blood alcohol concentration is. And if it's above the legal limit, to immobilize, to basically forcibly shut down the car. Now, how would it do that? Now, some people are saying that they're going to install some infrared cameras or the like that can monitor eye movements. Most of you who have seen either people be given field sobriety tests or have seen this on Cops or one of the TV shows know that there's the field sobriety test where they say, hey, follow my pen light. Well, what the officers are doing there is they are trying to detect involuntary twitches in your eyes that happen when you're impaired or under the influence of drugs or alcohol. It's called a nystagmus, and you can look up nystagmus and kind of figure out how that works. And so the thought would be there's this infrared technology, this eye tracking technology that would be able to detect that. And that would be some indication of whether or not a driver is under the influence of drugs or alcohol. But the technology is a long way away, in my opinion, from being able to accurately do that. Because the nystagmus, as most courts will say, will be a way for an officer to attempt and determine if somebody's impaired, but it's not accurate enough to know what level of impairment that is. And so I'm curious to see exactly how that technology is going to work. The other interesting questions that this brings about is as it relates to the Fourth Amendment. So as you know, the Fourth Amendment says that you're protected from illegal searches and seizures. So if there's a system in your car that is constantly monitoring your level of alcohol impairment, well, who's monitoring that system? Where is that data going? Is somebody forwarding that data along to law enforcement? And if so, is the argument going to be you've consented to the search simply by being on the road? I don't know that most courts would agree with that. And so it's a whole lot of open-ended questions right now that we simply don't have the answers to. But it's interesting. It's a very interesting development that I'm certainly keeping my eye on. And as updates come along, I'll do my best to pass them along to all of you, because it's something that I think really impacts all of us. Everybody that drives a car is going to have a car with one of these systems in it. So what does it mean? What does it look like? Who's watching? Who's recording? What can they use it for? Those are all really, really interesting, technical, realistic, and legal questions that we just don't have the answers to yet. So hope you found this interesting. As always, if you have any questions about this or anything else, please feel free to reach out to me either by email or calling the office here in Frisco. I'd be happy to chat with you about this or really anything else that you've got a question about regarding criminal law. All right, guys. Well, y'all have an excellent rest of the week, a great weekend. Be good and stay on the right side of the bars.